Good evening, my beautiful butterflies and fly guys. I know you're ready to get into tonight's discussion, so without pause, let's get to it. So many of you heard last week the news of Shaquille O'Neal's ex-wife, Shaunie O Neal's engagement on November 11th. That's right, November 11th. And while many were happy for her and wished her all the best, there were others that had something other than nice to say. Many of them who haven't had a proposal never, walked in hate and judgment from the start. I heard everything from calling her names to being very critical of her choice in men to lastly that of questioning the sexual status of the one who proposed. Wow. You know, people can be so cruel on social media, but I want to hear tonight what you have to say concerning tonight's discussion as we ask, and I hope answer the question: is Shaunie O Neal First Lady material based on her fashion? That's right. Is she First Lady material based on her fashion? And so tonight, I'm going to share some things that you may or may not be aware of concerning the couple. And then I hope to offer you some tips that may assist you in using fashion to get what you want, just as I believe Shaunie did, perhaps in this case. And then lastly, identify whether what your choices in fashion is saying about you. So let's put this topic to rest tonight on whether or not she is First Lady material based on her fashion. So listen, I want you to go ahead and grab your favorite beverage, and we'll be right back after this. Are you ready, AB? All right, let's get it. Hit it. Yeah, in the building.
He spoke fashion. I'm telling he spoke fashion. I'm so bad. He spoke fashion. I'm telling he spoke.
All right. Again, thank you for joining us, and I'm glad that you have taken time out of your busy schedule to have this conversation. So before we go any further, for some of you, some of my listener audience who joined us tonight, when you saw in the topic First Lady, you clicked on thinking the discussion was about this First Lady. However, when we say First Lady, just so we are all aligned, this is more like what we mean right here. All right? Those Church of God in Christ First Ladies right there. So just so you know, there is a difference, I believe, between the pastor's wife and the First Lady, at least again, in my humble opinion. For example, when I was growing up, the pastor at my family church, he had a wife, and she was simply the pastor's wife. Now, I must admit that I didn't know who she was because as kids, we did try to sit in the back. But there was never any mentioning of her during the service. I mean, there were no shout outs from the pulpit by the pastor or anything. However, when there is a First Lady of the church, and you have to go here with me, she is heavily involved with the ministries within the church. Would you agree? She's heading the women's ministry, she's preaching and evangelizing, plus serving in whatever capacity that needs it. And you know what, I might add that she still has to love everyone in the church, even when they don't love her back. That's right. And then on top of all of that, she has to take care of her children, if she has any, as well as her husband, the pastor. Phew, that's too much. Now, let me ask you a question. Do some of you all still want to be a first lady? Come on.
Oh, yeah!
Right. So listen, Shaunie O Neal, let's get to this. She was previously married to NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal from 2002 to 2011, and the pair share 5 children together. Wow. Beautiful family, 5 kids, all right? And so while her fiance now, Keion Henderson, he was previously married to Felicia Henderson for 9 years. Wow, 9 years. That's a very nice pictures of them. However, it was Keion who filed for divorce in 2010. That's strange because he filed for divorce in 2010. However, the divorce wasn't finalized until 2019. And that is when he was introduced to Shaunie. So when we look at Shaunie O Neal, although many wanted to put her into a box when she married Shaquille and assume she would simply play the wife and mother role, we found out soon after the divorce that unlike many who would easily rely on the alimony, because you know it's going to be much, and child support of her multi-millionaire ex-NBA baller, she instead made use of the degree she earned from USC and became an executive producer of the show Basketball Wives. So she used what she gained from her former occupation as a film marketer for Fox Entertainment to move into the realm of reality TV. Wow. So she didn't just rest on her laurels while she was single, nor when she got married. She didn't just sit there and say, I'm going to depend on my husband to be the breadwinner, even though he had much bread that he was winning, right?
Okay.
But from the success of Basketball Wives Season 1 and Basketball Wives LA Season 1, as well as the continued growth in Season 2, we see that Shaunie had established herself and had a track record showing that she was not only one who could make deals, but could also make moves in front of the camera, all while being, again, a mother of 5. Wow. So let's get to it. Let's pivot here for a moment and look at some of the relationships of her fellow classmates and see how those played out, because some of us, and I'll say even myself, have made judgments or misjudgments about Shaunie and her ability to get a man based on comparisons that we have made with our favorite castmates. All right? So, of course, the show Basketball Wives, it chronicled the lives of a group of women who are the wives and girlfriends or have been romantically linked to professional basketball players in the NBA. And though the title of the series did not make this differentiation, it instead is solely referred to the women as wives. So if you were like me, you wanted to support anything on TV that had people of color as the main cast members. But in this case, you found yourself confused because none of the women were actually wives. So it was Basketball Wives. Right. The plot thickens, right? They drew us in with Basketball Wives, and then we found out that many of them were no longer NBA ball player wives. All right? Very strange there. But nevertheless, on Season 1, her castmates were Evelyn Lozada, Gloria Govan, Jennifer Williams, Royce Reed, and then Susie Ketchum. And of course, we know that Royce Reed was an ex-dancer for the Miami Heat and Orlando Magic, but she also has a child with Dwight Howard. Yes, I mean, Dwight is about 7 feet, right? Wow, that's amazing. And then we have Susie Ketchum, who was the ex-girlfriend of Michael Olowokandi, right? Olowokandi. There were a couple. Then it was Gloria Gavan, who was, of course, the fiance of Matt Barnes. Shout out to All That Smoke, his podcast. Shout out to Matt Barnes. Then there was Jennifer Williams, who was the wife of Eric Williams. Then finally, there was, again, Evelyn Lozada, who was the ex-fiance of Antoine Walker. Yes. And so when we look at this, let's contrast that with the relationships that they've been in since the first season, just for a few of them. And then why are we doing this? If you want to consider this, and I know you're asking, why is this important? And the reason being is that many of us have based our love or hate of Shaunie from the way she is viewed in relation to her castmates. So if she says something contrary to your favorite castmate, and now we view her as being someone we dislike. So we've already prejudged based on how we felt about her character on Basketball Wives. So let's start with some of these castmates. Let's look at Evelyn Lozado, and she has been linked, of course, since the show started, to Chad Johnson, formerly Chad Ochocinco. That's right, 85. And we all know that this marriage of 41 whole days ended badly in domestic violence. Then there was the engagement to Major League Basketball player Carl Crawford that resulted baseball player Carl Crawford, thank you, AB, that resulted in a child, but as to date, there hasn't been any marriage. Wow. So it is worth noting that Carl was also involved in a domestic violence situation in which he allegedly punched his former girlfriend. That would signify that perhaps Evelyn has bad luck in choosing the right man. Then there is Jennifer Williams, who is one of the most fashionable women to be in the Basketball Wives sphere. But nevertheless, she also seems to have a type, as she was previously linked to fellow reality TV star Tim Norman of Cutie Pies fame. Sweetie Pies. Come on, y'all help me in the chat. I said Cutie Pies. It's Sweetie Pies, right? Tim Norman of Sweetie Pies. And of course, we all know how this ended. AB, can you play me some? Yes. Play me some sad music. Play me some sad music. That's what I want to hear. I can't hear it. Okay, can you put that text message up there? This text message is from Tim. You know, I'm not really the type of blank blank. You obviously think I am for you to stand there to next to me eyeing that sand blank blank Arab, Armenian, whatever he was, for half the show. 4 months ago, I would have beat the blank out of him and make you watch for disrespecting me like that. Next time, just get his number, cause the Google eyes is just as bad. Now let me get into character for Jennifer. Wait, who? What are you talking about? Babe, please call me. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't even remember an Arab. I swear on my mother's grave. Can you please talk to me? Okay, stop the slow music. Listen, not only did he prove himself to be a bad boy in relationships, but he was a bad boy, period. Yes. So again, why is this important? Simply because it shows us that although people may show themselves to be one thing, it doesn't mean that what they show you is true. We saw Jennifer and Evelyn in a certain light. And sometimes you don't attract what you look like. You attract what and who you are. Now on to our topic of conversation tonight, to Shaunie O Neal. And listen, I want to take a look at her fashion evolution. So this is Shaunie and Tammy Roman from 2004. Tammy Roman, I believe, came on the show in season 2 as one of the cast members. Here is she and Shaunie. And I see that Shaunie is, 5 kids. Looks pretty good. I like the dress. Let's move on to 2005. And you can tell that she's evolving. She's a mother. But she's evolving. Her style and her fashion sense, she's evolving. She's trying new things. Look at the haircut. Take note of that. Let's look at 2006.
Okay.
2006. And you can tell, when you put your hands on your hip, ladies, does that mean you're feeling yourself? You know you look good? Come on, in the chat, when you throw your hands on your hip, do you feel a little good about yourself? You know that's a cute outfit. That's a cute look for her. Let's go on. 2007 with Shaq. And again, the appropriate dress for the appropriate occasion. See, when you evolve, you can do things like that. When you evolve, you know that, wait a minute, I'm not going to wear this because I want to wear it, but I want to make certain that I'm appropriate for the occasion. I want to show up looking the right way. Part of her evolution. Let's look at another. This looks to be around 2010. Very simple here. Nothing to really see here. Just a basic look. Hey, we're matching. She matches her jacket with my hat. Hey, complimentary. Nothing to see here, but let's move on. Okay, another hands on the hip. And listen, what I kind of like is the fact that we know that she could very well afford a lot of the high luxury brands, but she's keeping it simple. She's keeping it simple, giving other designers a chance. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's look on to another one. And again, we're looking at her evolution. Okay, Shaunie, I'm starting to see a pattern here. You seem to love the same pose here. But hey, when you're feeling yourself, you're feeling good. And look, I'm telling you, for a mother of 5 kids, she looks really good. She looks really good. Let's look at another one. This is the last one, I believe. And this is circa 2011. Again, very nice look on her. The Soul Train Awards. And look, I think she's rocking that same dress, it looks like. Maybe that's the same occasion. Maybe they were presented. Maybe the dates were wrong. But no, let's go back to that one because it looks like maybe the hair is a little different here, but maybe not. But listen, it's a good look for her. I think she's channeling Halle Berry. What would you say? Come on, hit me in the chat. Come on, when you get the short cut like that Boomerang. Boomerang must have been out by then. AB, was Boomerang out? It was after that. I mean, everybody started to have the look. Maybe, no. Die Another Day with Halle Berry, right? She had the cut with Pierce Brosnan. Come on, listen. I am a Halle Berry fan, as you very well can tell. And this looks good on Shaunie. All right, it looks good on. And as we can see, that was part of her fashion evolution. And so while I never personally thought that Shaunie was a phenomenal dresser on the show, I do see that she is able to evolve. Guys, what do you think? Let me hear from you in the chat. Is it possible for someone to evolve in their fashion? Let me hear from you. Is it possible to evolve? Well, okay, that's a very good point. AB is channeling in here that it is inevitable that we evolve. However, I somewhat disagree. Because some of us, someone told us 10 years ago when we wore that sweater, it was a bomb. And we may have received numerous compliments on it. But the sweater, not only is it out of style, but it doesn't look the same on you. You've grown. Now, you didn't evolve, you just got bigger. Bruh. It happens to all of us, right? So we have to evolve. Is it possible for someone to evolve in their fashion? It's possible. Now, let me say this. When I look at her, Steve Ridley says, yes, it is possible. It is possible. I agree, Steve. I agree. Now, when I look at her now, I really do see a woman who is evolving. My beautiful butterflies, you know that I 100% love an evolution in fashion. Don't you love that? Don't you love it when you see someone who maybe last year they were dressing one particular way and they just put on a new attitude, and with that attitude came an evolution in fashion. Oh, I love it. Or someone, get this, that has either gained weight in the right places that they wanted or lost weight in the right places that they wanted. And you start to see the evolution of their fashion play out over the course of time. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hold up. Stop the show. Stop. Excuse me for interrupting your viewing pleasure. But listen, guys, we are almost at the end of the show, and I haven't asked you once to do this. But if you haven't already subscribed on YouTube, I would love for you to simply hit the subscribe button down below, right? And listen, if you're watching on Facebook, could you please, if you've enjoyed the show this far, could you please hit like and share it? Could you just do that for me? It comes at no cost to you, all right? Now, back to the show. Yeah! So here we are, where I believe it gets interesting, because we all know how difficult it can be to be anyone's spouse, but I believe it to be even more difficult when you are the spouse of people in positions of authority. And would you agree that whether you are a pastor's wife or quote unquote first lady, that it could be difficult? I believe that if it weren't difficult, then we would not have as many divorced men and women of God in leadership as we do. You see, if you didn't know, there are men and women of God who, like Pastor Keion, have divorced or are on the verge of it, allegedly, right? On the verge, yes. I was so sad to hear Megan yes. So sad to hear that allegedly, it's been alleged that they are separated. Megan and Devin Franklin, allegedly have been separated for 6 months. And look at this. They even wrote this book, The Wait. Wow. Look, let's pray for them. That's all I can say. So what are some takeaways? And listen, I think we need to do that anyway for every church leader, whether or not they look happy or not. So what are some takeaways from what we have learned about Shaunie that we can use for our own personal development? You know, I'm so glad you asked that question. You guys are such an engaging audience. So let's look at some tips that we can use to help in our own personal development. Tip number one is simply this. You can be free in Jesus and free in your fashion. All right. So let me explain. Listen to me closely. You say, I know that there is a level of conformity that exists in society, especially in church. But you don't have to conform. You can be free in your fashion. So although I really like this outfit, if it does not appeal to you, then you should not be pressured into wearing it. Right? Now, a friend of mine tells me that you could tell by how the First Lady dresses what denomination her church is. And I want to ask you, is that true? And if so, which denomination might this First Lady be a part of? Let me see it in the chat. Let me see. What denomination do you think that she will be in? What denomination would it be? Church of God in Christ, Baptist, PAW? Come on, help me out in the chat. Holiness, Presbyterian. I don't think Catholic, but it's possible. Let me hear you in the chat. What would you say? And I think this is a lovely outfit, but again, you should be able to be free in your fashion. Free in Jesus, free in fashion. I love it. Tip number 2. You should simply identify your own unique personal style. See, one thing that I know that happens many a times when we are either in a relationship or trying to be found in one, it is that we compromise somewhat our identity. We become what we believe the other person wants us to be, not only in fashion, but in other areas as well. So if you think he likes a particular type of outfit, for instance, and you want to attract that person, then what do? You start to dress the part, again, compromising your own identity. For instance, many who date athletes assume that they must start to dress more athletic, not understanding that the guy really wants a woman who dresses like a woman. Not that women can't be athletic, that's not the point. But there is not a desire to date someone who always dresses the part. Let me go even deeper. Let's say there is a pastor who is single at the Holier Than Thou First Presbyterian Free Will Baptist Pentecostal of the PAW Church of God in Christ. And he always preaches on modesty. And so you would more than likely think that he would want someone who dresses what? Modestly. Very good, class. So you come every Sunday with your skirt down to your ankles, with no makeup, and of course, no perm. Lo and behold, one Sunday, the pastor stands up in the congregation and announces his engagement. And his fiance looks nothing like what you thought she would. What? Say word. Yeah. That's right. That's Bishop Marvin Winers and his fiance. Yes. So a friend of mine said it like this. You thought he was looking for holiness, but he was looking for someone that's his. So some of you will get that later. Moving on to tip number 3. That is simply this: walk in your fashion truth. Do you know what your fashion truth is? I'm glad you asked. It is simply that which holds true about how fashion makes you feel. You see, if certain things make you feel confident, then you walk in that truth. If others make you feel sexy, then you definitely walk in that truth. So as the saying goes, be true to thyself. Walk in your own fashion truth. Listen, I have really enjoyed you all on tonight, and I hope that you enjoyed this discussion. I'm coming to the end. But before I go, I want to leave you with this final tip, and that is simply this: do not be afraid to evolve your fashion. Now listen, when I say evolve, don't want you to think that what I mean is that you should follow whatever new trends that present themselves. That's not what I mean. But what I am saying is that if you are still wearing fashion from 10 years ago, then Houston, we may have a problem. You see, evolution is a process that we all must embrace in order to become the best version of ourselves. And you know what? Tonight, I am excited to see the evolution of First Lady to be Shaunie O Neal. But more importantly, I am so much more excited to witness your evolution. That's right. Well, that's all I have for you tonight. So I want you to have a good night, good fashion, and remember, HeSpoke Fashion to you. See you next week. Hope you'll join us. Yeah! Yeah, yeah, yeah!
HeSpoke Fashion. I'm telling HeSpoke Fashion. I'm so bad. HeSpoke Fashion. I'm telling HeSpoke.